Welcome to the sun today for December 12th, 2023. The sun has been very active the last couple of days, so let's take a look at what's been going on. First, let's take a look at sunspots. This is the daily sunspot number as plotted by the Solar Influences Data Center in Belgium. And you can see that since yesterday, the sunspot number has risen slightly, but the areas are way down, which is sort of interesting. That means we've got more sunspots, but they're smaller. If you go back one complete rotation of the sun, shown here with a dark arrow, you can see that the current sunspot number is much higher than when we were looking at the same longitudes during the last rotation. So the sun is still building its activity at this time. Next, we'll take a look at the X-ray activity on the sun, which is measured by the NOAA GOES spacecraft. And you can see in the last 24 hours, we've had a large number of C flares, including a C8 and a C9 flare. So the sun has been quite active. However, it's not produced any big flares yet, any M or X flares in the last 24 hours. Well, how much effect on the Earth has all this solar activity had? And the answer is not much. We can take a look at the KP index, which is a measure of the level of disturbances in the Earth's magnetosphere, and you can see it's very low and has been for some time now. Even though the solar wind has increased from 300 to 390 kilometers per second, that's still very low levels for the solar wind. So it's not surprising that we're not seeing much activity at the moment. Let's take a look at where the activity is spread across the solar disk, and you can see it's in a couple of concentrated areas here. These are images from the Solar Dynamics Observatory, HMI instrument, with the background being from the AIA instrument. We can see there are 3 sunspot regions in the northwest, and it was 3514 that produced the 2 large C flares yesterday. We have the remnants of 3511 going over the southwest limb. That was the one that gave us a lot of M flares earlier, but it seems to have quieted down now. We have 3515 and 3516 here in the southeast quadrant of the sun, and they don't seem to have changed much. However, there does seem to be a tiny spot emerging just out ahead of them. If that could develop into something, we might get some more activity from them. And last but not least, we have a new sunspot region coming over the northeast limb. And you can see there's some bright area on the east limb there, which might mean there's more of this region yet to come. So we need to keep an eye on that. Finally, let's take a look at what flares we had yesterday. There were 17 C flares, including those 2 large ones, but there were no M flares or X flares. We seem to get a lot of these smaller flares, but none of the very large ones. There were only 5 coronal mass ejections yesterday, which was sort of surprising, seeing there were so many other sorts of flares going on. As far as distance from the sun is concerned, we are closer than average. We're at 0.9847 astronomical units, and we're getting closer and will be for the next month. The polar tilt angle is now minus 0.5 degrees, which means the southern pole is beginning to tilt towards us. And in a few weeks' time, we should get a very good view of the southern polar coronal hole. So thank you for watching. This is an exciting time to be looking at the sun, and I appreciate your attention. So until next time, stay safe and goodbye.